Meanwhile, the defending champion St. Louis Rams are at New Orleans to play the Saints, the team that supplants them as NFC West champs. Saints looking for a sweep over Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk. The Rams need to win and hope Detroit loses. Aaron Brooks, where's this Rams defense been all year, Tom? Dre Bly, tricky Rams, laterals to Devin Bush.
Yeah, I think that the Rams defense certainly has made better plays on the ball this week than they have in previous weeks, but this is the man who's making this offense click.
Swing from Kurt Warner to Marshall Faulk, 13 yards, 7-0 Rams. First quarter, Warner sacked by Willie Whitehead. Earlier win in late November by the Saints over Trent Green and the Rams. They sacked Green 6 times. Second quarter, well, you know what? Quarterback banged up. Give it to Marshall Faulk. Look at the run, and then at the end of the play, little hit with Kevin Mathis. Rams would punt. Marshall not backing down, that is for sure.
Well, this game had some playoff tempo to it, Boom. I think that they knew that certainly everything was on the line, especially in the case of the St. Louis Rams.
Well, Warner being looked at the sideline. Meanwhile, this is wide. Little woozy picked off by Darren Smith all the way 41 yards, tied at 7. Rams lead 13-7 third quarter. Marshall Faulk, a recurring theme all year. A recurring theme late in the season, and certainly a recurring theme today. 9-yard touchdown. They go for 2, no good, but it's a 19-7 St. Louis lead. Fourth quarter, Rams trying to come. Saints trying to come back. Keith Poole crushed by Devin Bush. Didn't see it coming.
Yeah, Keith Poole focused on the football. Obviously, Aaron Brooks did not see the safety, and Devin Bush gave him a completely legal hit. But, boy, what a blow Poole had to take.
You know, remember the hit that Poole took against the 49ers last year? He bounced back. He's a tough customer. Then Brooks to Tommy's cousin, Willie Jackson, 28 yards, 19-14. We have a game. Kurt Warner eventually ruled mild concussion. He wouldn't return, so it's Trent Green quarterbacking Rams. And can we forget this Trent Green versus Kurt Warner? We love Kurt, but, you know, Green's not bad. Not as good as Warner, but he was pretty good here. 42 yards to Torrey Holt to the 1. Marshall Faulk, hey, 3 touchdowns for Marshall, 11 in 3 games, 26 on the year, breaking the NFL single-season mark held by Emmitt Smith. What a season, and what a late run as the Rams try to get in by Marshall Faulk. Aaron Brooks down 12 to Joe Little Bighorn. Zip! 22 yards, 26-21, just over 2 minutes to go. What are you going to do?
Going to hand it to Marshall Faulk.
Marshall. 36-yard run. Takes 4 Saints to track him down. 2nd and 2, no timeouts left for Saints. Faulk picked up the first down, and that's it. Another ho-hum 32-carry, 220-yard day for Marshall Faulk. Mike Martz and the Rams hoping that what would go on up north would get them in. They did their part, perhaps seeing the Saints next week. We'll talk about that in a moment. 26-21, the Rams win after they lost to the Saints on their home field in November. But it all hinged on Detroit at home against the lowly Chicago Bears. Santa a Lions fan? Maybe. 3-0 lead. Glenn Milburn on the kickoff return. It's a fumble. And the Lions have it. So it's 1st and goal, Detroit. At home, they win, they're in. Charlie Batch, David Sloan, 10-0 Lions. It's going to be easy. 2 minutes to go, second quarter. Shane Matthews, ants limping. Hits his hand on James Hall in the follow-through, so Matthews leaves the game. 30 players went to Dick Duran and said, please play him and not Cade McNown, but the Bears came with defense.
Well, new star of the future at middle linebacker, Brian Urlacher, has done everything for this Chicago Bears defense this year. He's going to continue to be a great one as his career goes on.
Charlie Batch does not return after that hit. James Allen running for 11 yards. Bears trail 10-6 third. Marlon Barnes, not former Providence College Marvin Barnes, but Marlon Barnes, 21 yards. Marlon Barnes, 10 yards. So it's Cade McNown against Stoney Case. What more would you want in a game with playoff implications? McNown to Marty Booker, 27 yards. Pass interference, they don't need it. 13-10 Chicago. Fourth quarter. We've been talking about the running ability of Stoney Case all year. 17 yards. And Gary Moeller says, you know what? Try it again. Case Touchdown! And the Lions lead at 17-13 behind the running of Stoney Cates. 7 minutes to go for it. Cates picked off by R.W. McQuarters. And he could go all the way. 61 yards. Bears lead 20-17. Next possession. Case picked off by R.W. McQuarters. He's now a silver dollar. But wait a minute. There's a flag. Defensive holding. Lions dodge the proverbial bullet, but they do punt. James Allen, remember his fumbles against the... at his own 10, he's going to fumble? You're kidding me. Lions recover, Tom.
Yeah, take a look at the replay. You can see clearly the ball is knocked out just before Allen's knee hits the ground. What a huge play this was when it came to this game's final outcome.
The Bears defense holds them outside the end zone, but Jason Haynes' 26-yard field goal ties the game at 20. Detroit needs to win to get in. Minute 39 to go. Luther Ellis knocks down the pass at the line. Bears punt. Under a minute to go. Case scrambling. And it's R.W. McQuarters, who is now a $100 bill, makes the hit. Fumble. Roosevelt Coleman recovers for Chicago to the chagrin of Gary Moeller. 4th and 1. 12 seconds left. McNown. Allen. First down. Out of bounds. 6th round pick from Michigan State is going to come into the Silverdome. Paul Edinger. 54-yard field goal. Good! Good! The Bears win! The Lions are gone! And while Detroit is stunned, after the game was over in New Orleans, the Rams saw this on the big screen, and they celebrate. The coaches, the players, and they say to the stands, we'll be back next week. Rams and Saints next week because Detroit lost to the Chicago Bears, who won for only the 5th time all year, but that was their playoff game. 23-20. The Bears beat the Lions in the Rams locker room. Marshall Faulk relieved.
Eking is the word. He cannot weigh into the playoffs with some help from Chicago. It's so special. But we got to put it behind us. Getting in is we can't settle for just getting in.
Thank you, Chicago. We've now adopted you as our fans and our friends until we play you guys.
They came through for us with a big field goal at the end, and and we were able to do our part. And it's going to be tough to come back here and repeat that feat, but now we're in, and now it's up for grabs.
But we're not feeling sorry for ourselves. We're not going to sit here and say that. Obviously I'm pissed, and we're all pissed. Who's not happy? Who's not pissed when they lose?
I'm in shock. I'm hurt, and I also can't believe that I'm not excited about this game because I just knew we were going to win, and it was emotionally and physically draining. One of the toughest games I've ever been in.
I don't think anybody wants to see the Rams on the Rams' best day, because on the Rams' best day of football, I don't know if there's anybody out there that can beat us.
Hey, get ready. Get ready. We're back. We're coming to get this thing. We're coming to get this thing. We're back, baby.
This last day of the season, we see the things going. Everyone's aware of what's going on in the other cities. So let's start, Tom, first with the game that allowed the Rams to get in Detroit. Yes. When all is said and done, the Lions at 9-17 won some games that we're not sure how they did, but to their credit, they did so. 307 points scored, 307 points allowed. They were middle of the road. They had a chance, but they let it slip.
Well, I think certainly inconsistency throughout the season, and that's what we saw today. A team that didn't run the ball well on a consistent basis week in and week out. Charlie Batch was hurting throughout the year. When they won, it was because they got turnovers and because they had special teams in the form of Desmond Howard. That didn't show up for them today, and I think it cost them. And give the Chicago Bears credit. This is, I think, is what the league is all about. You have nothing to play for. You come out and you play hard and you play to win.
The Packers had slight chances to make the playoffs, and give them credit. Under Mike Sherman, they improved from last year. They had a winning record. They were 9-7. The Tampa Bay Bucs did everything they could to come from behind 14-0. They'll scratch their heads, though, and say, what does it take for us to win in the cold? By the way, they're playing at Philly next week. They may have to do that right away next week. But for Tampa Bay, I think in the big picture, though they wanted a home game, they'll take the Monday night win over St. Louis and the almost game that they won at Green Bay. They're on the rise and are a real playoff contender.
Yeah, and I think that they're one of the teams really to watch out for as the playoffs go on. But certainly when you look at the Buccaneers, first of all, weather is only an issue because of the fact that they haven't won when it's cold. So it will become a non-issue as soon as they win. But I think when you look at this team's success, at least at the end of the season, look at Warwick Dunn, the carries, 20, 22, 28, and then 22 again. Today, in a situation on the road, he gets 15 when you know that Coach Dungy would really like to feed him the football. I think falling behind early lessened the carries that he got. But let's remember again how they got here, what they do well, and what will carry them through the playoffs.
Well, Warwick Dunn is the little big man for Tampa Bay, the big man for the St. Louis Rams, and will run through the playoffs later on in the show. The number 6 seed St. Louis Rams, Marshall Faulk, 220 yards today. Tommy, the last 3 weeks, combined running and catching, 11 touchdowns, 96 touches for almost 600 yards. Yowza.
And when we talk about Mike Martz, I think that certainly he likes to throw the football. When you look at what he has done during the last month of the season, especially when he says Marshall Faulk has gotten healthy, he has fed him the football. It has given them great balance, both run and pass. No question in my mind right now as to who the MVP of this league is. It is Marshall Faulk with this new touchdown record.
Well, and I'll tell you what else. The big story of the day, the Rams live to see the playoffs as the number 6 seed. They still might be the favorites in the NFC, even though they will play no games at home. As we go inside the numbers, well, when you set a mark like this, it's not one game, it's all season. And with 11 touchdowns the last 3 games for the world champion St. Louis Rams, Marshall Faulk has passed Emmitt Smith's mark of 25, who passed Rigo's mark of 24 for most touchdowns in a single season. Marshall Faulk, yikes.
Inside the Numbers is brought to you by Visa, the preferred card of the NFL. Visa, it's everywhere NFL fans want to be.
When we return, the Eagles tuning up for the playoffs. McNabb and the Eagles against Cincy. And the Jets need to win and get in. Vinny and the Jets in Baltimore. The Ravens looking to set a defensive record.
NFL Primetime is presented by Miller Lite. Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time. And in part by MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
Philadelphia Eagles are playoff bound, and although they don't get a playoff bye, they had a bye last week. Interesting scheduling, and Andy Reid is hoping to put it to his advantage. They didn't come out and play a solid game against Cincinnati. They turned it over 4 times, but Donovan McNabb to Pro Bowl tight end Chad Lewis, first down. Everyone in Philly grumbling, saying McNabb should have been to the Pro Bowl. He's more concerned with moving him into the playoffs and picking up the tempo. That's McNabb to Lewis, who had 9 catches on the day. It's a 3-0 lead. And now play action. McNabb to Charles Johnson. He stretches out, touchdown, 10-0 Philadelphia.
And the one weapon that has really been up front and center for the Bengals has been Corey Dillon. Here, Carlos Emmons and company going to do a great job of getting him down on the ground for no gain. And then later on in the same quarter, again, Dillon and Brian Dawkins coming up from the defensive backfield to make a stop. So they're playing well defensively at the right time.
And they also get a little luck. The bouncy ball intercepted by Carlos Emmons. They held Dillon to 39 yards on 16 carries. And yes, the Eagles do get a home game. They're going to play Tampa Bay. We'll run down all the playoffs and analyze them too. But Philly is the 4 seed. They beat the Bengals 16-7. Now, they ran Chris Warren to see how he would do, but he fumbled the ball twice. So that will certainly not make the impression on Andy Reid they were hoping to when they picked him up.
Well, the guy who's going to make an impression is going to be Donovan McNabb, and he is the wild card literally as they get to the playoffs, and his ability to escape the pocket against that rush of the Buccaneers will be very interesting.
And for Cincinnati, 10 straight losing seasons over the past 10 years, 47-113. When we return, we have all sorts to look up. The Colts are playing the Vikings and the Jets-Ravens game.
Week of the year. Marshall's Brian Leftwich threw for over 3,000 yards this season. Can upset-focused Cincinnati deflate the herd? Motor City Bowl, Cincinnati versus Marshall, Wednesday at 4 on ESPN.
I'm Dan Patrick. Enjoy!
Welcome back to NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite.
As we go to the Redskins and the Cardinals, Terry Robisky hoping to win one game in his 3-game run. As head coach, that's Champ Bailey on offense. So, does he get in? Yes, it's his first offensive touchdown. Champ Bailey catching the ball against Arizona with a big 20-0 lead. Catching the pass from Brad Johnson. Deion Sanders says, you know, I used to do that, but right now I'm just cold. Tommy, what happened to Jake Plummer? What's happened to him?
You know, they made such an investment in Jake Plummer and have not gotten the production from him. It's just been amazing how his talents fell off once he got the money. And
yeah.
Bruce Smith going and get a sack. And you know, Bruce Smith, what a player he has been throughout his career.
13 seasons of 10 or more sacks for Bruce, and you know what they do? Now, Terry Robisky's a good guy. I may not keep this job, but they dumped the Gatorade on him, which you got to get out with a little bit of shampoo there, I guess. And Washington wins it, 100-yard day for Stephen Davis, 20-3 over Arizona.
Well, will that one victory by Terry Robisky be enough to at least make Daniel Snyder think about keeping him on as head coach?
And Arizona ends up losing 7 straight. Dave McGinnis 1-8 as head coach. After the game, Terry Robisky informed the team that a man who played for the Redskins a long time through last year, 38-year-old Dan Turk, whose condition was concealed and kept private by his family, passed away last night in his battle for cancer. He leaves a wife and a young daughter, and it's a reminder at this Christmas time to be thankful for what you and we may have, and our condolences go out at this time to the Turk family. Chiefs and Falcons. Warren Moon. All those years in the NFL, and yes, they looked like the Green Bay Packers when they were the Edmonton Eskimos winning all those Grey Cups. Warren Moon, 70,000 professional yards and more. Would he play? Well, no, he watched Elvis Gerback throw the reverse floater to the tight end. When you have a tight end floater like that to Tony Gonzalez, 21 yards, it's tough. 7-7 Chiefs at Atlanta.
This is a play that Kansas City has always done a good job with. It is called tight end fall stall. You see Tony Gonzalez go down. He literally falls down on the ground, runs across the formation. His blockers in front of him fall down as well. Do a great job of sealing people off so he can get into the end zone.
Score 16-7 in the third quarter. Look at Tim Dwight lateral it all the way to Winslow Oliver. Oh, those tricky Falcons. 40 yards. Morton Anderson results in one of 5 field goals for him. Warren Moon never played for Gunther Cunningham in this game. Hey, Warren, you were so great to watch. Nobody threw a better-looking pass, or more accurate one, we should add. But on this day, a 100-yard day for Jamal Anderson, the Falcons snap a 6-game
Yeah,
win.
and look at Morton Anderson from 24, 48, 42, 23, and 36. Doesn't look like he's a guy who's losing his touch or his touch with his foot.
Well, reports are maybe he will kick elsewhere next year. Maybe Chris Chandler will be elsewhere. Lots of decisions to make for the Falcons, who end up their season at 3-13. When we return, the Steelers have a playoff shot, but they need things to happen. They need Dante Culpepper to play and beat the Indianapolis Colts, and they need the New York Football Jets to not make big plays against the Baltimore Ravens. We'll get that picture in a moment. AFC picture for the 3rd straight week. The Jets win, they're in, but they're at Baltimore. Oh, and you knew this was going to be funny with 2 old Bucs quarterbacks, the 2 guys that have started the most games for Tampa, quarterback Trent Dilfer and Vinny Testaverde. But early on, the Jets were on it. Flea flicker. Vinny, who, by the way, scored the first Ravens touchdown ever, throws the pass to Dedrick Ward, 7-0.
You're talking about the best run defense in football. So you see that secondary come up and run support, bite on the flea flicker. Vinny Testaverde, easy job of throwing the ball over the top to Dedrick Ward for a score.
The Jets under Al Groh last week looked like a team afraid to lose. They did not come out that way today, Tom. Testaverde, play action, lobs it beautifully to Richie Anderson, and he drags Corey Harris into the end zone, 35 yards. Anderson caught 11 for 139, 14-0 the Jets. Second quarter, Testaverde fumbles. Ravens ball. Trent Dilfer. How did Priest Holmes make that catch? Well, it is a Sunday Priest duel. Christmas Eve, of course. Dilfer to Condre Ishmael. Touchdown, 7 yards, feet in, 14-7. Jets lead down to 7. Then, later in the second, Testaverde is picked off by Dwayne Starks. Starks high-stepping and returns it deep into Jets territory all the way to the 31-yard line, sets up a Stover field goal, 14-10. Later second, where for some reason Vinny's interceptions are like 4 times more in this quarter than ever before than any other quarter, Windrell Hayes makes the pick. Fakes out Windrell Hayes, and my bad, he was picked off by Starks, picks up an extra 30 yards. Look at the lateral on the play. Meanwhile, Dilfer, incomplete to Leon Johnson on 3rd and 1. Brian Billick says, let's go. 4th and 1. Dilfer incomplete. Boy, he has trouble throwing the ball in tight. Incomplete to Shannon Sharp, but that Baltimore defense, it's a safety. It's a safety. Curtis Martin never even smelled the goal line, 14-12. Later in the second, Jets driving. They still lead it. And Wayne Corbett, who played a big game, made some circus catches, 39-yard gain with 24 seconds left in the half. Look at how long Vinny looks at the corner. Looking. Picked off by Chris McAllister. Curtis Martin's the only guy that has a shot. No, sir. He could go all the way. 98 yards when the Jets were going to go in. The Ravens go in. Well, 20-14.
Less than 20 seconds left in the half. You see Corbett running his route, but look at McAllister. Just follow the eyes of Vinny Testaverde right to the football. That's a fairly easy pick for a corner. Great play to make before the half.
Third quarter, Dilfer sprained wrist. Tony Banks in, up, down, separate shoulder. Banks out, Dilfer in. But really, you know who was not in? The Jets cover teams on the punts. Jermaine Lewis, 54 yards, 27-17, Ravens. Lewis, in the fourth quarter, returns another punt, gets a couple of blocks, makes a cut at the 40. He could go all the way. 2 punt returns, an interception return, and a safety for Art Modell and the Baltimore Ravens. They allowed 20 points, but they still smash the record for fewest points allowed in a 16-game season. For the New York Jets, a loss at 34-20. Martin, they couldn't run Vinny through 69 passes. Let's first go inside the numbers and show you that the Ravens have broken the mark of the 86 Chicago Bears by 22 points. Fewest points allowed in a 16-game season. We salute their defense, Tom.
It's an outstanding defense, and I think they play it the way you have to play it. It is great run defense up front that gets them in very manageable second and third down situations. It'll be that kind of defense will play great in the playoffs.
So, with the Jets losing, that opened the door in a late kickoff for the Steelers. They had to win and hope the Colts would lose. Very early on, they're in San Diego. Very early, first play from scrimmage. Ryan Leaf to Jeff Graham. And look at the block downfield by Curtis Conway. These are the 1-14 Chargers. My God, there's one play, and it's 7-0. Ensuing kickoff. Will Blackwell, 0-2. Whoop! 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 Hell of a return. Look at him go. Look at him block. So we've had 2 plays, and it's 7-7. 4.5 minutes into the game. Cordell picked off by Rodney Harrison. He could go all the way. 63 yards. Tommy, after 4.5 minutes, they're on pace to score 252 points in this game. But things do settle down. Pittsburgh has a 17-14 lead. Cordell Stewart scrambled. 19 yards, touchdown. He rushed for 2 TDs. Steelers keep up their end of the bargain. They win it. 34-21. Cordell passing 190. We told you he ran for 2 touchdowns. He ran for 81 yards today.
Yeah, the 10 carries for the 81 yards I think is very significant because I think Cordell has now gotten back to playing the kind of football that will make him successful at the quarterback position.
But now that the Jets lost, Steelers won, the Colts control their own destiny. Playing at home against Minnesota before the game, Dante Culpepper checking out the right ankle sprain. Culpepper did start. He threw it long to Randy Moss. 42 yards. He's always between 2 defenders. We're tying at 7. Minnesota knows Tampa's lost. And so they've won the NFC Central. Culpepper sandwich. Denny Green says, you know what, that's enough. That's enough. Bubby, your arm's rested. Bubby Brister, get in there. But for the Colts, they had to win it. Peyton Manning to Edgerrin James, looking to win 2 straight rushing titles. Only the 3rd in the NFL to do that if he does. But he takes the pass that goes 52 yards. 14-7. Vikings next possession, Brister's first play. Looked like the water boy on that play. One more look at Bubby.
Well, he just got a little too close to Robert Smith on the play fake. Robert Smith actually knocks the ball out, and Bubby actually did a pretty good job of getting right back on top of it.
We last saw Bubby play meaningful games and did a great job for Denver. Meanwhile, Peyton Manning already over 4,000 yards again. That was Marvin Harrison. Manning to Harrison, the triplets in business today, Tom. 21-10 Colts at the half. 3rd quarter. More Manning to Harrison. This part of it's been a little quieter than the running of Edgerrin James, but not today. 4 TDs for Manning, 33 the year, 28-10 Colts.
Getting the passing game rolling at the right time. Kenny Wright going to be in coverage here. You see him right there. You see the receiver's going to split his coverage responsibility. And Marvin Harrison, a great job of curling right behind him at the back of the end zone.
100 catch of the season for Harrison. 3 TDs in the game, and the Colts win going away. And now they're in. The Colts, who a few weeks ago, it looked like they were long gone at 7-6, but they end up at 10-6, and they win and are in the playoffs behind almost 300 yards passing for Peyton Manning, 128 yards rushing for Edgerrin James, the 3 touchdowns and 109. Now, those are the numbers we're accustomed to seeing for the Indianapolis Colts, who, you know, got a break. Minnesota knew very early on it doesn't really matter. We're already the number 2 seed. But I think the way the Colts can play on offense, they become a unique team in the AFC playoffs, where many of the teams, Tom, at least in that Central, are such good defensive squads.
Yeah, very quickly, ability to score by this Colts offense, I think, certainly will have to carry them. But the thing that's going to be most encouraging to Coach Moore is the improving defenses, especially in terms of pressuring the quarterback and getting the takeaways. They've been able to do that for a few weeks. And the Vikings, let's remember that no team has lost their last 3 regular season games and gone on to win the Super Bowl. It's a bad sign for the Vikings.
10 seconds, the Jets, they got to scratch their heads.
Well, I think that you couldn't play the kind of football that the Jets wanted to play and have Vinny Testaverde lead the league in interceptions. It just wasn't going to happen.
No,
margin for error was not that large.
23 points given up, not by the defense
correct.
on this day, and that's why they're on the outside looking in. But we still have the AFC East as we continue. Would Miami get into playoffs? A, win the division. B, Miami and New England. And Oakland knows Denver's won. Oakland needs to win against
the football play, not giving up on it, being able to knock the ball loose, and then giving it back to his football team. They get it at the 20.
So New England has the lead, but Jay Fiedler, who would start more games this season than any other Ivy quarterback, certainly since the merger. Sid Luckman didn't play as many games. Fiedler scrambles for 17 yards. Late hit Chris Slade. Olindo Mare, oh no, he's almost automatic. Misses a 28-yard field goal. Here we go in December again for Miami. They trail 24-17. Fiedler to O.J. McDuffie. Dives forward. First down on 3rd and 15. Later on the drive, 4 minutes to go. Lamar Smith. Talk about a tough run. 3 yards. Touchdown. Ties it at 24. Drew Bledsoe, next series, tipped into the hands of Zach Thomas. Miami in business. 3 minutes to go. Then Olindo Mare. Whoa. 49-yard field goal with 15 seconds to go. The Dolphins lead 27-24. Last chance, New England. Drew Bledsoe. Pass knocked away. Patriots think it's a fumble. They pick it up. They lateral. They rumble. They bumble. They stumble. They figure it's over. And the Dolphins are in the playoffs at 4:12 Eastern Time. But wait. While Fiedler and Wannstedt celebrate 4:47, 35 minutes later, Dolphins in slippers. Patriots in togs. Back on field. Johnny Greer says there's 3 seconds left. It was an incomplete pass. So Michael Bishop is in. He fires. No, it's incomplete. And the Dolphins have twice within 35 minutes won the AFC East. One fan was in the stands when Johnny Greer said, come on back on the field. Jeff McBride of Rehoboth, Massachusetts. By the time they got back on the field, 600 came in from the parking lot. So the game began with 50, 60, 70,000, 600 saw the Dolphins win the division. Dave Wannstedt, unbelievable.
Got a greater feeling in the world to go out there with our backs to the wall and have to fight back and lay it on the line and leave it on the field and come out with a damn victory. Hey, division champs, okay? Hey, hold on. Coach.
3 seconds left, they got one play.
John, turn the cameras off.
That's the craziest thing. It only could happen this year. You know, the Florida recount, now it's this recount. You know, they came back with 3 seconds. That's crazy, and so...
The hanging Chad made the Dolphins go back to sweat it out again. Unbelievable, but in the end, Tom, they've won their first division title since '94 under Don Shula. Panthers, Raiders. Denver won kind of convincingly yesterday. The Raiders and John Gruden have to win, and they figure let's kind of convincingly win it today. Tyrone Cream of Wheatley. Good cream of wheat at this time of year anyway. It's cold, 9 yards. Next play, Wheatley. He's a big back the Raiders need, Tom.
Well, this is the biggest thing we wondered. How would he perform in this game leading into the playoffs? This looks like the Tyrone we saw all year long for the Raiders.
His first 1,000-yard season in the NFL. Rich Gannon and Jeremy Brigham, 4-yard touchdown. Raiders lead Carolina 7-0. Score 10-6 Oakland in the second. Gannon, Ricky Dudley. What a year Rich Gannon's had, huh? 1 yard, 17-6 Oakland. Inadvertent flags on the play. Wheatley sells it.
Well, this is a beautiful play fake as well by Gannon. You watch Wheatley run up into the line as if he has the ball, and then you watch the safeties bite on that. Dudley's does a good job of going down and then getting to the back of the end zone. So that's a good play by the entire Raider offense.
Steve Berline picked off out of the hands of Muhammad, picked off by Eric Allen. Touchdown. The ageless one, Allen, and it's the alley-oop to Russell. Boy, they can play basketball too. 38-9. There it is. Jeff Lewis, Brad Hoover. He's vacuumed up. It's a fumble. Last score just with no time left on the clock. And he could go all the way. And there it is. Win the AFC West. 52-9. Boy, have Denver and the Raiders come crashing through at the end with big wins. The Raiders, they earned a bye in the opening round, 52-9. Impressive.
Well, great balance by this football team. The 32 throws by Rich Gannon, but you see Tyrone Wheatley really setting the table with the running game.
Our congratulations to the Raiders and Miami, who both won division. When we return, look at the playoff scenarios. Plenty to talk about and set up the postseason.
It's GMC's year.